Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the February meeting of the Binghamton Local Development Corporation. You've got your agenda in front of you. There should be minutes from the 25th of January regular meeting. I'll take a motion whenever anyone's ready.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Review them outside.
Thank you, Frank. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, before I want to interrupt for a second, and I'm losing my mind. I want to welcome Wesley Grant, our newest member of the board.
Aye.
Wesley has a business in Binghamton. She's doing great, and I'm not going to put her on the spot, but welcome, and we look forward to having you participate in all of our stuff.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
And even better, Wesley transplant, so not originally from Binghamton, which is in good company with me, so we always appreciate people.
Yay.
But you're from Marcellus.
No one knows where that is.
Marcellus Shell.
Western Hills.
You're right.
Western Hills.
All right. Rachel, floor is yours. Oh, did we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. Can we start this over again? The floor is.
Mr. Speaker.
So, this is the January treasurer's report. And we'll start on page 4. With restricted account. So at the end of January, the balance in the restricted account was $168,853.70. No major activity in the restricted account.
Is this the one, actually, this is the one the clause coming out of?
Claude didn't actually, so we did the wire transfer at the end of January, and I think it didn't actually clear until February.
Okay.
So we'll see in February. On the accounts receivable page, we just still have Hannigan, still paying right along. Doing great. On the following page 6, that is the UDAG account. The end of month balance in UDAG was $671,638.84. And the big news in the UDAG account was the Garland the Garland Gallery got their final drawdown for their facade loan. So that's the $14,437 number that you see there, and she will start paying back in February. On the following page 7, the receivables for UDAG. Everyone who has been paying continues to pay. Everyone who is in default continues to be in default. We have reached out again to people who we thought might continue to pay, and we've not heard back. So we're gonna.
Do you need anyone to go knocking on doors or anything?
Yeah.
We got people.
I don't mind like knocking on a door.
Yeah, I mean, we have gone to
I'm a friendly.
specifically Ariel Hendricks, and I just
Okay.
haven't caught her in yet. I've left messages and sent letters, and the same thing with 142 Court Street. You know, these are small balances, and so we would hoped that they would be able to pay them, and maybe they will if we can get a hold of them. So we're continuing our efforts there. While I think getting the ball rolling on actual collection process.
Betsy, Sophie and I are gonna meet this afternoon and try to look at what our options are. Okay, go through.
A friendly visit is,
Every single one of them. I think you gotta look at and say, what can we do and what are our options?
okay,
I mean, as I told Sophie, I think some of us have been here for 10 years. And we have an obligation to.
right, go on,
Yeah, we have to do something. Doing nothing is not right.
that's right.
Is VMR part of that conversation?
Yes, VMR too. And actually, I talked to Sophie, and one thing that I thought about is, can we put a lien on his pen?
As well.
On his pen?
Pat,
Patchen.
oh, Pat,
I don't know whether you can do it or not, but.
why not?
It depends
But
if
it
it was
doesn't.
bought by Matthews, right?
Those
I
are
mean, it
things
might
we-
have been bought by Matthews.
Those are
We have
things
to
we gotta
check that.
look into. We're gonna look into it and see what are options.
Did you
are.
look into his personal? Cause no, I mean, their personal responsibility, but You know, he's got a house, it's worth at least $400,000-500,000.
He's probably thinking this has gone away and
Let's go get them.
No, I mean, he's, personally, I know, a really nice couple, it's just something went kafooey in it.
Good people have bad times.
Yeah, but I mean, there's money in the family, his father-in-law is extremely.
we just gotta look at what we can and can't do with him, depending on what the contract says and.
Yeah, what, we're at third position too, right?
But we have a new corporation council and my understanding is she's pretty aggressive about things, so this will be good.
Yeah.
That's a compliment, but maybe aggressive wasn't the right word, but
There's nothing, positive thing.
maybe that wasn't, I'm sorry, but anyway.
Put you on commission.
So. We can move on to the unrestricted account. No activity in the unrestricted account. You will see that the end month balance is much larger than previously. And that's because of the Boscov's pay.
Great.
On the next page, page 9, the Triad account, no activity. Following page, there's Veterans Initiatives account, no activity. And following page, the grant account, no activity. So effective 1/31, the delinquency percentage of all loans not designated as non-performing was 0.49.
Any questions for Rachel? Okay, I think we'll start with that. Try and find it.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
There it is. All right, there's no old business. We have 2 resolutions this morning, resolution 24-10. Resolution, the Binghamton Local Development Corporation accepting the transfer by quitclaim deed of all right, title, and interest in and to premises located at 11 to 13 Court Street in the city of Binghamton. More particularly described as Broome County tax map parcels 160.40-2-5 and 160.40-2-4.
So this is just the BLDC taking formal title to Boscov's. The IDA passed a similar resolution yesterday at their board meeting. So we will work on formally transferring it into our name. You'll see in the language here that it mentions the reversionary interest that BLDC has that gives us the right to do this. But functionally, we've been operating as the owners for a while.
I make the motion?
Make a second. Thank you, Mayor. Any questions or comments about this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Second resolution is 24-11. Resolution of the Binghamton Local Development Corporation authorizing the president to enter into an agreement with Bldc Construction Services for consulting services related to the renovation of 11 to 13 Court Street. You should have a document from Adam Green in your packet that lays out the proposal. Anything you want to?
Yeah, so Chase did the initial help with developing the budget from Boscov's, and really this is just, we want someone in our corner to help us validate the expenses and the decisions that Boscov's is making. This deal is going to run in such a way that Boscov's will be a sub-recipient to the money that we are allocating through ARPA and that the state of New York is allocating through Donald Pardo. And so we will build into the lease all of those restrictions, but they'll essentially be doing leaseholder improvements. This just gives us somebody who can gut check the projects that they're putting forward, that they make sense monetarily, that they make sense for our interests long-term, since we own the building. Ideally, we'll have Boscov's there for the foreseeable future, but given this is an asset that we will continue to own if Boscov's is there or not, we want to make sure the decisions that are being made also serve us. And just given personally my limited experience in construction management and estimating services, we wanted to bring a company on, and Chase's previous work with us and their knowledge of the building makes them well positioned to do this work. This initial contract has a not to exceed of $20,000. We're looking at a term of about 24 months, which is what we're hoping the construction will be. There may be an update to this coming back at some point, updating either of those, the term or the number. We bring that back to the board if we got to a point where we needed to do that.
Are there gonna be weekly meetings, monthly meetings, or how is Chase going to?
We haven't figured out all the details yet because we're kind of in a holding pattern on the $10 million project until we get everything with the men's store sorted out as it relates to the garage project. So over the next month, we've gotten a draft lease from Boscov's. Our lawyer's going through that right now. We're hoping to enter into that agreement in April and then hopefully get started. But there's been some delays in the garage project. It's due to weather and some unforeseen things as they got in there. Boscov has also decided that while they have the men's store cleared out, they're gonna do some renovations to that space to deal with the water damage and the leaks that were in there. So the construction schedule is a little bit weird right now. We also haven't received our contract from DASNY yet. We've submitted everything that we need to submit. We're just waiting on them to tell us what the rules and regs of the money are. We have a good idea of what they are, but we don't know what the final terms will be. So we don't want to authorize them to proceed with construction until we have those, so they can plan ahead.
So one of the big things in construction, as you know, is change orders. Will the Chase be a part of those decisions that are made for change orders, or how?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it will depend on how the final deal is structured. It'll depend on whether Boscov's is going to be doing one large contract for $10 million, whether they're going to be doing individual projects. And so how we structure that deal, I think will change how the Chase engages with this. But those are really good questions.
I just know all these things that can go wrong, so you really have to.
For better or for worse, Chuck knows a lot about how wrong these things can go. And is a really good advisor on this project.
You have problematic change orders.
Yeah,
Be
exactly.
mindful.
And are they, if there's choices, who's gonna make that choice? If there's a
If
better
it's
way, a
not-
best way, the cost of each and what.
Yeah.
So those are, and when you don't understand it, and you're relying on someone else.
Right, exactly. And that's why it's nice to kind of have the Chase is working for us as the BLDC and
Right.
protecting our interests. And then obviously our corporation council is protecting our interests as well. So I think it'll be a more hands-on process than I would like it to be just in terms of time management, but ultimately that will result in a better project. More transparency in the process.
Any other questions? We have a motion, right? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Mayor, the floor is yours.
Sure. I'll be brief today. First of all, want to welcome Wesley. We're really looking forward to your participation on the board. And as you can tell, I think you were at last month's meeting and this meeting. We've got a lot of really exciting things on the agenda. So roll up your sleeves and get involved. And if you need a life raft, call for one because sometimes I need one too. Really happy that the Boscov's project is continuing to move forward with us taking title to the building, which was something that was, always going to be allowed to do. And then having LaChase as kind of our ombudsman as it relates to this construction project, that when decisions are made, door 1, door 2, or finding door 3, that they're going to be there to offer their expertise. They have experience not just in this building, but on large capital projects, much larger than $10 million. So they're going to bring a lot of expertise to this. They're right downtown, so Art could be here at a moment's notice. So we're very happy about that. And with that, I'll turn it over to our executive director.
I also want to welcome Wesley. She and I have been meeting on and off the last, probably over a year now. Always really energized by those conversations. And I think that's something that's been missing from this board is the perspective of entrepreneurs in our community. We talk a lot about supporting entrepreneurship, but we haven't necessarily had that voice at the table. So very excited to have you here, and we'll be tapping into your experiences as on the ground as we move forward with those things. A couple of things that happened in the last month. Patrick, Susan, Rachel, and I went over to Claw just to get a sense of how their product is advancing. I think we were all really happy with the presentation that they gave us. They have way more demand than they can possibly fill with their current capital constraints. So they have about money to build about 4 of these patented machines that they have that help them process Pantheon, which is their product. They have room for 11 of them. They're about 300,000 a piece. Is that right?
Yep, the grinding machines.
Yes. So we are looking at other avenues to help them build more of those and add production. Because one, that helps them improve their cash flow, it helps them meet the demand that they're getting. They just had their product DOT certified, so now they are able to be used on all DOT jobs. It really just is incumbent on the contractor to recommend them in the project. Right now, when the DOT is asking them for things, they're having to negotiate down the amount of product that they can offer just based on capacity. So trying to figure out ways to increase that capacity. Our support from the BLDC is going a long way towards that. Jacob is obviously well-versed in business plan competitions and grants. And we're also going to have NYSERDA go meet with them and really talk about how the Climate Protection Act that came down from New York State may be able to bring some dollars into that project to increase their ability to produce Pantheon. They've also hired some new folks, which is really exciting. I was part of the contingency of the loan was them growing their jobs there. So we're happy to see that that's happening. Another couple of young men. So that operation is really, I don't want to say it's like a frat house because it's very well organized. It is a couple of 22-year-old boys running the shop, which I think is even more amazing because they have so much energy and they bring so much technical expertise to the business. It's been really exciting to watch their growth, and they're so grateful for the BLDC's support, and we're so grateful for all of you for continuing to vote to support them. I think it's really is a Binghamton success story and will hopefully continue to be so for a long time. What do I have on here? 187 Clinton Street, our affordable housing project in the first ward is still advancing. We're working with New York State to finalize all of their funds right now. We got $500,000 from Department of State in Brownfield Opportunity Area funding for pre-development costs. Working through that contract right now. Working with the developers on getting all of their paperwork into homes and community renewal for their tax credits, their site suitability narrative, and their market study, and all of the various fun things that HCR requires before they'll fund a project. But those conversations are advancing positively. The developers are really excited. They're looking at potentially upping the number of units in their first phase from 102 to 120, which I think would be an excellent addition to the project. And overall, things are advancing well. At 22 Charles Street, our cogeneration plant, we're exploring a couple of different grants that could help us develop that. I know I've talked with Pear about Tech Hubs money. That application is approaching kind of rapidly, and I'm not sure we'll be able to get the paperwork done in time, but we're also talking with the EDA about other potential opportunities for funding through just their normal programs. So if we miss this Tech Hubs application deadline, we'll pivot to that other federal money to potentially support that project.
Sarah, who's our expert over there? Because I go to PT over there and twice a week I look at that and I'm like, huh?
So we're working with Labella. They're our consultant through New York
Oh,
State.
that's right.
So they are in the final phases of the reuse analysis, and we have a meeting with them next week, 2 weeks from now, to get an update on where they are with that. And we have a couple of site visits we need to do with them. We need to get somebody in there to figure out what is drawing so much power. The city spends about a little over $30,000 every year on electric for that building, and we don't know why. And we've spoken with NYSEG, and they also don't think that it should be anywhere near that number. So there's something drawing a significant amount of power. We just need to determine if it's something that is helping the building to stay in good shape, if it's, the heat or the HVAC that just happens to be drawing a lot of power, or if there's things on in there, which I think is the case, that do not need to be on.
That no one knows about yet.
And I don't want to be just turning things off because I don't know what I'm doing in there, and I don't want to cause any sort of problems in the first ward. So we'll be having that, and I think there was one other site visit that needed to happen. I don't remember who it was right now.
Guy to come and tell us what to do. with the building,
Yes.
or, the cogeneration equipment.
Yes, they're helping us value the actual equipment that's in there, whether it's scrap value, whether we're able to actually sell some of those pieces and components to other cogeneration facilities. Given the fact that so many of them are coming offline, I think the parts are becoming harder to get and more expensive. So if people can get them from us, helps us recoup some funds, and we can potentially invest back into the building, as well as gets rid of a bunch of stuff that we don't need, don't want, and is taking up a lot of space in that building right now. The other big thing on the horizon is the business plan competition, which I'm going to toss over to Joel quickly to give us an
Sure.
overview on.
Well, speaking of entrepreneurship, we're about to announce our 14th annual Bldc business plan competition, which is a venture that we do with the Entrepreneurial Assistance Program of SUNY Broome. This event is passed around the flyer for it. It's co-sponsored by M&T Bank. And has a $7,500 prize list. First place prize in the competition is $5,000. Second is $2,000. Third place $500 for the best business plan competition to start a business in the city of Binghamton. Past winners of that have included businesses like Claw Industries. 3 years ago won it. Last year was Strategic Test Prep. That was an SAT preparation service business, and last year was Electric Light Apparel that had clothing that had illuminated logos on it. Kind of interesting clothing for first responders. But the competition has a couple of phases. We do a business development workshop at the end of March. That it's a 3-day event. It's intended, this competition is open to people throughout the city of Binghamton and the wider area. You know, the stipulation is that they relocate their business into the city of Binghamton if they're a winner of the competition. But the competition will certainly invite people from the incubator, Kaufman Southern Tier Incubator, to be part of the event, as well as people who, you know, might have just a business or even a thought of doing a business. So we have a business development workshop to help them understand the realities of putting together a business plan. It's so important to be able to get the financing that you need to be able to move the project along. That happens the end of March. We have a 3-day online class with area experts and so forth for banking and legal, and entrepreneurs, people like Evelina Zajac Holdridge, who's the owner of Idea Craft, for instance, who talks about the entrepreneurial mindset, you know, just what it is takes to run a business. And the competition also has for the winner, beyond the $5,000 cash award, there's also a package of services that are provided. 5 hours in accounting services from Davidson Fox, legal counsel from Coughlin and Gerhardt, membership in the Greater Binghamton Chamber. Thank you, Patrick. A sign services from 3i Graphics and Signs, website services from Freshy Sites, branding services from IdeaCraft, a 3-month membership in the Kaufman Incubator, and annual membership in Triple Cities Makerspace. So it's a package of services that actually is, you know, perhaps even worth more than the cash amount that is given. I should mention also that the competition is financially sponsored by M&T Bank. This year we've reached out to others, and happily Saul Stearns has stepped up here to be a sponsor this year. They will be wasn't able to revise the brochure yet, but certainly they are a welcome addition. But we will be having a press conference that's scheduled for next March 7th. That's a Thursday at 10 o'clock to announce this over at the incubator. And the dates of the competition, which wraps up at the end of May. There's 2 components to it, a written portion and an oral portion. The written component is the business plan that amounts to 60% of the score. And then there are oral presentations that amount to 40%. And those are judged by some members of the finance communities, some loan officers from local banks, and representatives of economic development. We've had in the past representatives from M&T, Tioga State Bank, as well as the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Program, and expect to have them again this year. But just to, you know, as board members, I would just ask you if you would, as you go through your travels, if you run across people who are interested in starting a business, ask them to please look at the city website, or, you know, let me know. I'd be happy to send information about that. People can sign up on the city website for the business development workshops, as well as sign up for just general information about the competition, and there's quite a lot of information there as well.
And as soon as we have an updated flyer, we'll send all that information to all of you digitally, so you can forward onto your networks as well.
Yep.
Any
And I
questions?
should mention that the chamber already has circulated in its weekly email distribution.
Amazing. How that-
Appreciate
It's
it.
great. It's great. It's a great program. Great.
Yeah.
Any questions on that? Joel's always there with their own, so no questions. Couple of other things. Last week we had our strategic priorities committee meeting. Couple of things we talked about were whether it makes sense for the BLDC to do some pre-development costs on some of the properties we own. This is things like phase 1 and phase 2 environmental analysis, geotechnical analysis. So we're looking into whether that makes sense. I thought the strategic priorities committee was very supportive of us pursuing that. Obviously, we would build those costs into the purchase price on the back end, so we would recoup those funds at a certain point, but it just means that we could market the properties more effectively. And as we think about what the future of Binghamton Plaza is, we own properties over on the north side across from that. Might make sense for us to position ourselves well to be marketing that property alongside whatever ends up potentially happening with Binghamton Plaza. So more to come on that, but I was happy that the strategic priorities committee saw kind of the vision of that. The other thing we talked about was that I've been working on building some of our bank and financial partner relationships, and obviously we're grateful for Tioga State Bank's support through Susan and everything else that she does for us. But trying to figure out how we can better be supporting entrepreneurs and others in our community with some of these wraparound services that we know are out there, but we're just trying to figure out how we connect people with them. So people may come to us with a problem that is not something that the LDC can solve. It's not within our scope to loan money to someone for, say, debt consolidation. But how are we helping them build their credit? How are we helping them access services that may be helpful to them? One thing we find is that, you know, as an LDC and as a city, we can't give legal and financial advice, but we do find that a lot of people that come to us could really use some solid legal and financial advice. And don't necessarily have the funds or relationships or know where to go to get that. And so how are we building a network of services that we can not necessarily refer to? Because that's also not something that we do, but just figure out how to navigate that relationship so that people are getting the services that they need without us being too heavy-handed in how we help people access them. So again, we'll meeting with some folks on that in the next month. Hopefully I'll have an update on where that project is. And a couple other things coming down in the next few months. We'll be finalizing our annual report. Rachel's been working on that. We're in the stages of making it pretty and something that really showcases the work that we do. And that will also include an update on our commercial facade program, including before and after pictures, some of which are quite dramatic, some of which are a little more subtle, but really speak to some of the structural and masonry improvements that are happening, and some of which are, like I said, there's a whole different color, a whole different look to the building, the brand new facade, a brand new sign, and those are really visually impactful, and I think you guys will be excited to see them.
It's a lot. Thank you. It's great. Good stuff.
Is there anything we're doing to help with the YWCA's affordable housing?
I'll defer to the
Project?
mayor on that one.
Yeah, we provided them 500,000 as part of the site acquisition costs to support that. We were obviously very supportive of their application to Homes and Community Renewal. So we have skin in the game on that, and I'm feeling good about their application. I think sometime in March we should know where the allocations are statewide. So I think it's going to be good. The thing that separates that project from others, and where I think the state's going to rank them high, is that there's a child care component,
Yeah.
right, built into it's not just affordable housing units, it's affordable housing plus childcare. So the state right now, it's so competitive for affordable housing, unless you have some sort of little extra spice to your project, like supportive housing for individuals with substance use disorder, veterans, childcare, those are going to go to the top of the list. So I think they'll be okay this round. And when the city has been supportive, 500,000 of ARPA funding that is leveraging, millions of dollars more for affordable housing. And I think that that's been the smart way that we've utilized ARPA to support affordable housing over the last couple of years.
communicates to HCR that those are priority projects for us, which is something that they really want to see. They don't want to fund things that the communities don't support. And so having that actual money and being able to provide legislation that shows that it was approved goes a long way with HCR.
I just think it's great, the multi-generational aspect with the older folk and the younger folk and the childcare is great.
Mhm. Yeah, we're very hopeful. I mean, that's a reduction, blight reduction type of project, and it's affordable housing project. It's a childcare
Got
project.
everything.
It's all
That's
above.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we think that it'll score pretty high. And we're a pro-housing community, so
Designation.
that's right.
Did we talk about that last month? Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. The city of Binghamton is one of 20 municipalities across the state and the first city to be designated as a pro-housing community through the governor's office and New York State Homes and Community Renewal. Essentially what that does is, following this designation, we receive priority on certain discretionary funds that the state has. It showcases to the state of New York that we're a pro-housing community, but it also showcases to the private sector and the development community that Binghamton is a place that you can come. You're not going to see red tape. You're not going to see zoning issues that drag you down, that we can get projects done in 60 days, not 6 years like Long Island. And since that designation, we've already had multiple housing developers reach out to us, ask about what sites do you have? How can we get involved? Because it's a signal to, the multi-billion-dollar affordable housing and other type of housing industry in New York State. If you're going to invest money, invest it in Binghamton because they know what they're doing. So we were proud. I was at the state capitol on the second floor with the governor, I guess 2 weeks ago now, part of a group of mayors and elected leaders that had received this designation. And we see it as a tie-in with economic development. When we can have all of these open jobs, companies can compete on salary, the schools are good, the neighborhoods are vibrant.
Yeah.
There's outdoor activities that people want in upstate New York. We just can't compete with the housing. So we have to build housing of all kinds, and this will help us do that.
Great.
You can see the mayor's comments on the Facebooks too, so. From all
The Facebooks.
Facebook.
Okay.
Facebooks.
www.thefacebooks.com.
You're aging yourself, Patrick.
It's on purpose. That's it.
It's on the line. That's what I've been told.
It's on the internet, yes.
Yeah.
Anything else for the group this morning?
Last thing, Frank, do you want to give an update on where we are with helmets to hard hats? I thought we had a really good progress on that.
Sure.
in the last month.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mike Strapp has been working with the city here as well as the building and construction trades. There's a lot of apprentices that come into the trades through the program, Helmets to Hard Hats. What they do is a direct indenture program that gets them to the top of the list for our veterans coming back into coming back into society here, gives them a good apprenticeship opportunities and good paying careers. So there's been several success stories around here. I think there's roughly 8 apprentices throughout the crafts within the last year to 2 years that have come through this program and are now, out in the field, working in their respective crafts. So we are going to be doing a press conference at the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Hall on 11 Griswold Street. I think the tentative date is April 7th. For that, still doing a little bit of coordination, but just to highlight the successes of the program, the city was able to give them a $50,000 grant towards all of their expenses towards this, and really they've spent very little of the money so far. So it's to target marketing to other veterans that are re-entering into society of these, good paying careers and then local jobs for our community here.
One of the things we really like about the program is, you said they haven't spent that much of the money, but that's because they want to give the money directly to the veterans who are in the apprenticeship program. So they're not spending it on their overhead. They're not spending it on their travel. They're being really intentional about making sure that money's getting directly to the veterans and making sure that they're at a point in the apprenticeship where it makes sense to, provide the tools or the clothing they need, or right stipends for the actual people in the apprenticeship. So we've been really happy with how they've utilized our money, and looking forward to seeing how that program grows in the area. Thanks. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Exciting, no,
Thank you.
great.
Anything else? All right, thank you all very much for everything. Motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Mayor, thank you, Ron. We are adjourned.
Thanks.